They laughed at her under the shower heads. Soft hands, slow feet, no chance. But when the base went red and doors slammed shut, she slipped on a broken watch, emptied her wallet of excuses, and walked the dusty road to command. Her name is Emily, and the people who mocked her are about to learn who leads them into the fire. The tiles are cold. The air is warm. Showers hiss like snakes. Emily keeps her gaze on the grout line and the chipped soap ledge. She counts breaths. 1, 2, 3. Laughter ricochets off the cinder block. New girl can't run. New girl can't lift. New girl can't even tie her hair. Water drums her shoulders. It stings. She lets it. A broken watch sits on the bench by her towel. Old steel. Spidered glass. The minute hand stuck between ticks. She found it in a pawn shop outside the gate. The clerk called it junk. Emily bought it anyway. It doesn't tell time. It tells patience. She dries off slow. No eye contact, no words. The locker squeaks. Inside an empty wallet, a folded base map, a small pencil ground down to a nub. She keeps the wallet empty on purpose. It reminds her to owe nothing to luck. A voice carries through the steam. She's comms, right? Desk hands. She flinched at the drill siren. She'd fold on day one. Emily closes the locker. She smiles, but only for herself. The map's edge has a tear shaped like a crooked coastline. She's traced it so often it shines. Her barracks room is the shape of a shoebox. A single window looks toward the perimeter road. Dust collects along its edge, blown in when the afternoon wind forgets its manners. She calls it the dusty road. It points away from here, straight toward the hills. She used to run roads like that. Sand in her teeth, salt in her eyes. A voice in her ear saying, "Don't stop." Her cover file sits open on the desk. Civilian tech liaison. Temporary assignment. A thin life printed in black ink. She memorizes every lie until it feels true. Night shift. She walks the corridor with a clipboard. Fluorescents tick and hum. Vending machines breathe in the dark. When no one watches, she measures door hinges with her eyes. Counts camera sweeps, times the lazy arc of a guard's flashlight. In the comms room, screens bloom. Green lattice, blue bars, silence waves. Emily makes mistakes that look like mistakes. A wrong filter. A wrong folder. A request for help with an easy task. She wears clumsy the way a snake wears skin. Beneath it, she listens. There. A data pulse at 0213. Too clean. Too smooth. Like a coin sliding under a door. Someone is tunneling through the base's spine. Someone who knows the schedule of the night janitor and the length of the long haul. She writes nothing. She remembers everything. Dawn drags itself up the flagpole. The showers fill again. Laughter again. A shampoo bottle clatters. Words sharper than razors. Emily rinses. She turns the broken watch face down. The minute hand does not move, a mop bucket squeals by. A petty officer throws her a look that means, why try? Emily gives her the same look back. Neutral, unthreatening, forgettable, it works. The woman looks away before she knows she has. At noon, Emily folds the base map until the dusty road is the only thing visible. She puts the empty wallet on it like a paperweight. Nothing on the map moves either. Her phone buzzes. A single word from a number that doesn't exist. Hold. She puts the phone face down. Steps outside. The wind tastes dry. The hills look closer than they are. She tells herself she can do this one more day. When she comes back to her room, her locker is open. The broken watch has moved. Someone touched it and set it upright, careful, like they wanted it to wake. And there, tucked against the empty wallet, is a note in block letters that are too neat for enlisted hands. We see you. The base siren screams. The hallway lights slam red. Boots thunder past her door. Someone has decided to end the game early. Emily reaches for the watch, then the door, and finds it locked from the outside. Red light eats the hallway. It pulses like a slow bruise. The lock hums. A mechanical hum, not human. Emily kneels, ear to metal. She hears the bolt seated deep. Not standard. Not base issue. Someone added teeth to a simple door. She sets the broken watch on the floor beside her ankle. The spidered glass catches the red and turns it to a small, gentle sunset. She breathes in the shape of it. She checks the window. The dusty road leans into the hills. A convoy of clouds crosses it. The wind is loud, too loud. It hides other sounds she needs. Her empty wallet sits on the desk. It is weightless. It tells her to travel light. It tells her to give up nothing. She tucks the wallet flat against her stomach. Habit, she counts to 5. She forces her shoulders to slump, her mouth to open a little, her face to forget angles. She pounds on the door like someone who wants help. A voice on the other side swears. Keys jingle. A bar scrapes. Ma'am, stay put. Base lockdown. I can't. Her voice is thin, new. What's happening? Exercise, the voice lies. Give us a minute, footsteps retreat. 2 sets, one heavier, one careful. The careful one doesn't swing its heels. The careful one keeps weight on the midfoot and kisses the ground with the toes. The careful one learned to move that way somewhere you get yelled at for breathing loud. Emily goes quiet. She turns the watch in her palm. The minute hand jerks and stops. She hears a new sound through the door. Not the keys, not the boots. Plastic bending under stress. A little creak. Then the small cough of a camera lens opening. They put an eye in the peephole. She slumps harder. She lets her head fall sideways like fatigue is heavy. She spills a small complaint into the air. It works. The careful one whispers. The heavier one laughs. Emily counts their breaths. The heavier one breathes through his mouth. The careful one through his nose. She hears the careful one set something down. Tape. A whisper of tape against paint. She gets what she needs. She turns the broken watch crown with her thumbnail. It pulls free with a small click. She slides the crown stem under the door. It is almost nothing. It is also a wedge. The careful one kneels. The peephole eye leans in. Emily coughs and steps back into the corner's red hush. The eye presses deeper. The door gap opens a hair with the kneeling weight shifting on the hinges. The wedge of steel catches a soft spot. The humming lock stutters. She palms the crown back, lets the gap return, waits, down the hall, a crash. A shout, a body hitting metal. The careful one stands. Move, he says. The heavy one moves, their shadows pass. Their heat leaves the seam. Emily pushes the crown into the screw head again, turns. The hum chokes and then... The lock stops singing. She opens the door a finger. The corridor is a river of red light and motion. People run wrong. They cluster where they should not. The air smells like hot dust and bad batteries. At the far end, a squad peels right. Their sergeant uses big hand signals and small words. He's choosing a corridor that ends in a glass wall and a blind angle. It's the wrong turn if someone out there is hunting. Emily shuts her door and presses her spine to it. She studies the torn edge of the base map. She doesn't see a map. She sees choices. Each hall is a line on a palm. Some lines end early. Her phone buzzes again. 2 words, lead authorized. She sits very still. She puts the empty wallet back on the desk. She lays the broken watch on top of it like a seal. She takes the map. She folds it until the dusty road becomes a blade. She tucks that paper blade up her sleeve. In the mirror, she lets her own spine come back. Her shoulders settle into the shape they know. Her eyes lose their hesitation. She looks like herself. She looks like bad news for anyone who is not on her side. She opens the door all the way. Down the hall, the careful one is waiting in the doorway of the showers. Steam pours around him like a fog machine on a cheap stage. He has a tape dispenser in his hand and a pistol at his hip. He smiles. New girl, he says. Show me your hands. Emily shows him her hands. Then the lights go black. The blackout is total. The red dies. The hum dies. For one heartbeat, the bass seems to hold its breath like a swimmer under ice. The careful one curses low. He knows blackouts can be traps. He knows they cut cameras and microphones and the lazy things people rely on. He knows they make the old ways new again. Ears, nose, touch, patience. Emily knows that too. Water still runs in the showers. It becomes a drum. It masks footsteps. It blurs edges. The tile sweats. Soap smell sharpens. Something metallic rides the steam. A fresh cut on the air. She steps left, not right. The careful one expects right. Right is where her room is. Left is where the locker rows thin. The benches line up like little bridges over nothing. She moves with her weight low. She slides a hand along cold metal. Her fingers find the broken watch's twin in the world. A locker hinge with play in it. It squeaks when stressed. She avoids it. Behind her, a benign voice floats from deep in the steam. Familiar, unkind. You lost, newbie? A laugh, another. The voices from the showers. The ones who taunted her. They sound normal. Too normal. It's a recording. Someone left a loop to bait motion. Emily smiles without showing teeth. She taught that trick once. It catches people who hate being hated. They step forward to answer ghosts. They become real for people who are not. The careful one steps where she would have if she cared about ghosts. A shadow brushes a bench. A thigh touches cold metal. The world makes a sound it cannot help making. Emily moves through that sound. She takes his wrist. She turns it in. He drops the tape. The pistol comes up, but his elbow freezes when she touches a small summer of nerve just above it. He grunts. She pushes his face into a towel that smells like someone else's soap. The towel swallows his words. It also swallows the shape of his nose for a second. He flails. She takes the pistol. She holds him very still without hurting him in the ways you can't undo. Breathe, she whispers. It is a reflex to calm the thing you are controlling. He breathes. It fogs the towel. It fogs his plan. She hoods him deeper and slides him under a bench. She tapes his ankles with his tape and leaves a knot at the angle of the joint. He can get out. It will take time. He should live to dislike her. The emergency strands flicker to life. Dim amber, enough to see faces but not the future. The showers are empty. The loop clicks and dies. Her eyes find the peephole camera taped into the doorframe just as she thought. The lens stares at nothing, hungry. She picks up the pistol, checks the chamber, one in. A magazine like a promise. She hears footsteps, this time not careful. This time fast and nervous. Two sailors she knows by sight, all elbows in fear. They see her gun. They see her face. They stop, eyes doing bad math. One says. The word has barbs. Move, Emily says. The word has edges, they don't move. Their mouths try to remember rank and reason. She doesn't wear any. Not on the outside. The base intercom coughs. A voice tries steel and lands on tin. All personnel to assembly, Charlie. Repeat, no, Emily says to the room, to the voice, to the order that will make corpses. She points at the two sailors. You know the west stare that smells like old lemons? They blink, they nod. Everyone knows that stare, take it down. Out to the motor pool, keep low. If anyone says assembly Charlie again, ask them for the escape code. If they don't know it, they're lying or they're panicking. Either way, don't listen, they stare. Go, she says. They go. She checks the careful one's pockets. A keycard that doesn't belong here. A map of the base that includes a corridor no map should include. A phone with a black screen and a camera that sees in the dark. She leaves him his pride. She leaves him his breath. She takes the keycard and the map and the phone. Her empty wallet presses against her ribs. She feels the lack like a presence. It keeps her ruthless in the right ways. She steps into the corridor. The amber lights make the world look old. The dusty road outside the window is empty. The hills are not. A figure fills the far end of the hall. Broad, blocky. A training sergeant who once called her useless and meant it. He takes in the gun and the stance and the not useless eyes. What are you doing? He asks. It is a simple question. It is also a test of what comes next. Emily answers with the only honest thing she can say. My job. How's that different from yesterday? He asks. But he is already moving the way people move when they've decided to be led. She points to the wrong sign. He looks at it. It isn't a trick. The sign is wrong today. Who are you? He asks softer. The intercom coughs again. New voice measured, in control. Pilot's gate secure. Server room sealed. Package moving. Package. She knows that word. It means a person or a file. It means leverage. It means something that drives knives into choices and twists. The sergeant hears it too. His jaw gets hard. Emily lifts the pistol and points toward the admin wing. We're going that way, she says. She takes one step and the amber lights die again. The hallway fills with a soft blue glow from the server room door seals as they lock. Something on the other side of that door is about to burn. Blue light floods the seams. It is surgical, clean, a color that pretends to be calm. The door is rated for hours against fire. The gaskets puff up. The world becomes a sealed letter. The sergeant swallows. We don't have cutters, he says. Emily touches the gasket. It's already warm. That's not fire. That's a lie about fire. Someone wants the base to think self-protection is happening. Someone wants time. Who's inside? She asks. He shakes his head. Ops isn't answering. Comms is haywire. We lost the east cameras first. East, always east. The dusty road faces east before it bends. Emily studies the hinges. She thinks about a lecture given in a room with no windows by a woman with a voice like a blade. The lecture was about doors and what they tell you when they think they are quiet. This door tells a story about people who believe they will never be wrong. She kneels. She slips the pawnshop crown back into her fingers. The little broken watch gives and gives. She uses the stem to press a tiny silver disc in the hinge cap. It pops like a dull pearl. The hinge reveals a grub screw, shallow, hateful. "Cover me," she says. The sergeant covers the empty corridor with a rifle that shakes once and then learns not to. She looks wrong, he thinks. But he doesn't say it. She looks right, but he doesn't know why. She pressures the grub screw. It turns a fraction. The door gasps, not much, enough to change the air tone. The heat doesn't rise. That confirms the lie. The sergeant glances at her hands. "Where'd you learn that?" "A farm," she says and smiles. "We had stubborn gates," he almost laughs. It surprises both of them. The server room intercom clicks on. A new voice slouches into the hall. Confident, smooth. The kind of sand that grinds pearls and people alike. Base personnel remain calm. This is a containment event. "Evacuate to Assembly Charlie." He says it like a lullaby. He says it to the wrong ears. Emily hears another voice behind that one. Tight, tired, trying not to cry. "Please, they—" Static swallows the rest. She closes her eyes to see better. She sees the shape of the server racks. The duct above the second row. The trap closet under the floor. The emergency cut that no one ever tests. The second hinge cap pops. The gasket sighs. A whisper of colder air slips under the door. Not fire, freezers. Someone is faking a thermal event by chilling sensors. They'll thaw later and the logs will show a crisis that never heated. Not fire, the sergeant says, surprised by hope. Then what? Time, Emily says. She wedges the map, folded into a stiff blade into the hinge gap and saws at the vinyl, careful not to cut the wire hidden in it. The wire will trip an alarm that is not friendly. She finds it by feel. Her fingers map the gasket's lies like braille. The sergeant looks at her like she is a story he will tell after this if there is an after. The hinge loosens. The door gives an inch. On the other side, air smells of coolant and electricity and fear. She tastes the fear like metal. A boot scuffs behind them. A petty officer rounds the corner too fast and stops too slow. Her eyes skate across Emily and then slam back. "You?" the petty officer says. And the word is an old insult reaching for a new shape. Emily doesn't look up. "We need a breaker kit," she says. "We need 3 people who can follow hand signals. We need everyone else to get down the lemon stair and into the shadows." The petty officer is named Vale. Emily knows that because Vale yelled her name during PT in a way that made everyone laugh. Vale is good at making people look where she wants them to look. It's a skill wasted on cruelty. Vale looks at the sergeant. He shrugs. She looks back at Emily. She sees something true and hates that she didn't see it yesterday. "There are 2 people in there," Vale says. Comm specialist Orr and Lieutenant Park. Park's a talker. Orr's a crier. They're holding it together. "Not for long," Emily says. Vale's jaw sets. She turns, she runs. She returns with a breaker kit and 2 sailors whose faces are white and open. They are ready to be brave if someone tells them how. "On my count," Emily says. 1. She wedges the kit's bite under the top hinge. 2. She nods to Vale. Vale puts hands where hands go. No words, just the belief that hands can do this. 3. They heave. The hinge groans. The door jumps. The blue light steps back an inch. The world decides whether to let them. The intercom hisses. The smooth voice again. "Don't," it says, almost gently. "You open that door, everyone in this hallway dies." Vale freezes. The sailors look at their shoes like the warning could hide there. Emily whispers without moving her lips. "He's lying." "How do you know?" The sergeant asks. "Because he's too calm," she says. People who prepare real bombs breathe different. They heave again. The hinge gives up a secret. The door shifts enough to see a sliver of server forest, pale and still. Another inch. Another breath. A gunshot slaps the metal near Emily's ear. The gasket spits. The hinge judders. The sergeant swears. The bullet came from the side corridor none of them are covering, the one with the fire extinguisher and the poster about back safety. The smooth voice becomes a real man with a real pistol and a real plan. "Hands," he says. "All of you." He steps into the open with his muzzle low and his eyes high. He wears an access badge that will not scan on any honest door. He smells like foreign soap in a rented car. He doesn't look at Emily long enough. He looks at Vale. Vale can't help it. She flinches and looks at Emily. The man smiles a little. "Oh," he says. This is the one from the showers. Emily smiles back. Yes, she says. And you're the one who thinks the door is only a door. She moves before he can decide what that means. Her knee finds the edge of the breaker kit and kicks it hard. Metal screams on metal. The door leaps. The man's muzzle flinches toward the noise because he's human and sound is a magnet. The sergeant fires. A clean pair of shots that go somewhere good. The man staggers. He isn't done. He's trained like she is. Pain is a thing to spend, not to obey. Vale slams her shoulder into the door. The sailors pull like oxen who just learned why they were born. The hinge groans again. The gap opens wide enough for a body and a promise. The man fires as he falls. The bullet skids on tile and bites the wall. Sparks spit. The hallway fills with the smell of clever, bitter dust.